Press the button. Press the button, the old fruit. Oh.
Fruit. You need some fruit. You got some bug there. You're going to pass around all of us. Anyway, the fruity one is Lee Wood there, and he's in festive spirit, as you can see, as we start the 21st edition of a Podful of Saints, whatever season this is. Evening, Lee.
Merry Christmas, Tavs. Merry Christmas, Jacob.
And equally festive, always festive, mainly because of too much liquid. Jake Ellacott.
How dare you, Dave? I mean, that is really quite slanderous.
True.
Anyway,
it's true.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Right, we want to keep this short because we're not sure Lee's going to survive all of it. We're starting with a review of last Saturday down on the south coast, down at Woodside Road. A 1-1 draw for the Saints against Worthing. They're flying high this season. We'll come on that in a minute. A quick word about the ground. What an improvement. They got that new big stand along the side, and they got new covered terrace in at the other end as well. What a good job they've done on there, haven't they? Looks like a decent stadium now.
No, I love that fake praise. Yeah, it does actually. They've done a good job. Well, I guess that's what happens when you have an owner willing to invest and back them. And I mean, their rise has been meteoric anyway, hasn't it? So it's no surprise to see off the pitch. Although I did quite enjoy the walk behind the main stand through what can only be described as a building site. But I'm sure that'll be finished at some point this season, lads.
Just over the fence and you're in people's back gardens. Yes, anyway, yes, they're new stands. Not as attractive as temporary stands with scaffold poles and everything obscuring the view and whatnot. But, you can't have everything in the football ground, can you? Right, let's go on with the game. Well, we've mentioned since Ian Culverhouse came in, what a tough start he's had. And you go to Worthing, their previous 6 home National League South games, won 5 and drawn 1. So they're doing very well in their plastic down there. As we said, they're in the playoff places. I don't know what you thought, but possibly we were fortuitous to get a point. But we had a decent spell in both halves, and we finished really strongly. But I've got to agree with Chris Agutter, the Rebels manager. They should have wrapped it up long before the end, while they were still 1-0 up. But while it was just that one goal, we were still it. And Ian Culverhouse, he said it different to the Boreham Wood game. We didn't capitulate after going a goal down. We just hung in there. And we've seen the side collapse, as we said early in the week. Maybe it's good fortune that kept us in it, but that late rally, that was encouraging. We haven't seen much of that this season. The players are to be commended for it, and they got their reward. And, maybe we were lucky to get a point overall, but the spirit was much better than we've seen plenty of times this season.
Absolutely spot on. There were huge similarities between that game and the one at Maidstone, I thought. I know that a few of the players do watch this pod, and I think it's worth mentioning that the endeavours and the work rate hasn't gone unnoticed by all of the fans behind the goal. First ball, the second ball, the effort, just that desire to nip in your toe, just to sort of try and win the ball back, a bit more grit, that bit more strength in possession as well. And we're looking to be a threat. And most importantly, Tavs, we're becoming, Boreham Wood game aside, we're working towards trying to be harder to beat. All we ask really is that we're competitive in games. And I take what you're saying, and I agree on the whole. I actually thought we were good value for something out of the game. You take a look at Gio had a glorious chance in the first half. Yes, they hit the woodwork and stuff like that, but I think on the balance of play, they had a rally in the second half, which I thought looked dangerous. They came at us quite a bit, but there were flashes, as you say. And Jake and I were just looking at each other at the end of the game and thinking, that's the sort of performance that was merited of something. And whilst I'm pleased for Shaun, of course, getting his goal, I'm pleased for the team because you can see what they've put into it, what they've invested into this new Culverhouse and Bastock project. And whisper it quietly, fellas, but we may be seeking the rewards of that now.
It wasn't an entertaining game overall, was it, Jake? But I imagine you're going to take out of it pretty much what we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I said it wasn't the best game. I thought it's quite interesting actually reading the Worthing fans forum after the game. A lot of them pretty much said fair result actually in the end because we couldn't put the game away. They had the same problems against Gosport in the FA Trophy and the same problems on Saturday. And I think that's a good thing, isn't it? We saw a bit of resilience. I think Tuesday night could have easily been a really bad blow for this team and this management very early on in the terms of trying to build it back up again. But we rallied, we looked good, we had a bit of fight, we had a bit of desire, we had a bit of passion. The celebrations at the end from the players, let alone the fans in the stands, were brilliant. I mean, look at the goal, the highlights of the goal. Jack James just wheeling away with his arms in the air. It wasn't a spectacular performance really all round, but it's those kind of results we talked about last week that we have to grind these out if we are to have a hope of staying within touch and distance of at least one of the sides above us, if not the others at the minute.
Yeah, you mentioned that chance for Gio Rasulu in the first half. I don't think he did much wrong with that header. Lovely ball in by Josh Castiglione. Where's he been hiding those all season? Well, he picked out Rio between a couple of defenders. It was inch perfect. And Chris Haig spread himself well and he saved it well. Beyond that, though, technically we had one cleared off the line in the second half, but I think it was actually going wide, the glancing header. Yeah, it's just a battling point. You're not going to get excited about it. A couple of things about Weymouth that surprised me. They did a presentation before the game to Temi Babalola. I think it was Player of the Month or something, which I find hard to believe. Whenever we've seen him in the past for other clubs, he's been spectacularly ineffective. But my God, he had a physical battle with Phil Chinedu and David Long King on Saturday. There wasn't much football played there, and it was just a battle. And sure enough, he didn't score. But that typified the performance again, didn't it? They provide a physical threat through him. They provide plenty of football as well, but we were up to it in most departments.
Can I just mention, put you up on something, Tabs? The fact is that look who we've played over the last 3 games under Culverhouse's reign.
Mm.
They're good established teams at this level. And, we, in my opinion, we don't get the results we have got under the previous regime in the way that we play. It's difficult to sort of make those comparisons because obviously, it's gone. But what I'm seeing is the temperament needed to get something from your Maidstones and your Worthing. I just love the passion. I love the desire. And you know what? We knew it was going to be tough. We knew it was going to be difficult these last 3 games. We got what we deserved against Boreham Wood, undoubtedly. But you can see playing to the very end, playing to the absolute end. And Shaun, instinctive, got his goal. I think the way we're going to play under Culverhouse overall, everyone's going to be asking questions. Ian should be asking questions of every member of that squad, including the great Shaun Jeffers. Is he going to fit into that system? But whilst he is here and he's scoring goals, and look, if him and Ken Charles can forge some sort of partnership up front, playing in the way which Ian Culverhouse wants us to do, it's going to be win-win because I just feel as though we're not playing to their particular strengths at the minute. But again, this isn't about playing to the likes of Shaun Jefferson, Ken Charles. This is about getting points on the board now because that's the desperate situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah, he's looking at players still. Sorry, Jay. He's looking at players still. He brought Ben Smith back into the side. His first start since Hornchurch back in August, and Tafari Moore back in. Did you make anything of those two?
Well, I think that was a good point you actually make there, Dave, about the team that went out. It wasn't the team we expected, was it, Lee? When we saw the team sheet in the pub, we thought, oh, okay, so this is quite interesting. And I think when we saw the team, I think we were a bit more worried. But those players that did come in, I thought they did all right. It's a tough game, and they did okay. They weren't spectacular. I think Ben Smith was quiet in the middle, but I suppose he did his job there. If you're not noticing him, that's probably a good thing. And a couple of other lads, Phil Chinedu, returning from wherever he's been, I thought decent at the back. And it's good for him because, Aveley away was a disaster, really, wasn't it, in terms of confidence and performance. So it's good to see him come back in. And I thought it was really interesting. Again, we've praised the post-match interviews, haven't we, every week since Ian Culverhouse come in. But Ian just being very open, saying, I brought these lads in, I need to see what they look like if we're going to work with them or shift them on and look how we're going to build the squad. So it's good that we're doing that. And I think, actually, it will give him a couple of question marks in terms of might make it a little bit more difficult, at least performance-wise on Saturday, let alone what he actually sees in training, of course.
I want to come back to the interviews before we go and put the dinner on. Ben Smith, I thought Ian actually pushed him a bit further forward than what we're used to seeing him. It's still centre midfield, but pushed him forward a bit. And it's quite funny. The first couple of times he got the ball in the first, 4 minutes, I think it was. As soon as he got it, Ian Culverhouse was shouting, forward, forward. I don't know. It may have just been coincidence, and he wanted us to push forward, or he might know Ben Smith's history, which is most of us know. It's just keeping possession. It's not creating things, and it'd be interesting to see if that. I think it'll make him a better player, and well, it'd just be interesting to see how Ian sticks with if he sticks with him, and if he wants him to do that more attacking role rather than just keep possession, which I don't think is the way Ian wants to play. He wants possession, but he wants it moving forward all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it works. We saw it on Saturday, didn't we? It works. When you turn and go forward, you can cause teams trouble, especially when there's actually a decent bit of final ball in there as well. Like you said, with Gio's from Josh, great chance, decent header, maybe should have scored, maybe shouldn't. And then the one at the end, it wasn't the perfect cross, but it was in a dangerous area. And Shaun Jeffers was lurking there and he was able to score. So when you actually get these decent balls on the ground, into the box or in the air, you actually can have chances as long as you've got then the players to put them away. So I think the more attacking intent from midfield, I think is something we need if we're going to pick up more results in the coming weeks.
Just one thing I want to add to that as well, fellas. Someone asked me how Chinedu and Claridge played on Saturday because they weren't able to make the game. And the biggest compliment that I could give them was the fact that I didn't notice them in a way where the thing is you've got two very young, inexperienced centre halves.
Yeah.
You don't want them playing out from the back and putting themselves under unnecessary pressure. You know, you've got people like Ben Smith in there and Gio who give the ball to them. You know, that is it now because we are playing a more direct side of football. So you want the ball in the hands of your key players, and the midfield are going to be driving this team forward without a doubt. And you're absolutely spot on, Tabs. If Ben Smith can get a fair crack at the whip under Ian and Bazza, then who knows? We might unlock his full potential. And with that might come along a bit of form for Gio and the others around him. So, yeah, it's a plus point, that point. And in so many ways as well, because Worthing are a great side and they're going to be dangerous to quite a lot of teams throughout this division. And not too many teams will go there and get something. So, but not only the manner in which we achieved that was very, very pleasing.
Yeah, I think they're missing Ollie Pearce up front, most definitely. But anybody would. Just like we haven't got at the moment, we haven't got a 30-goal Shaun Jeffers. No. We're still finding out how this team can get the best out of him, I think. And I would think after Saturday, Ian's going to be more inclined to think, oh, blimey, we've got to use him better, get more. Because he showed he's still going to get silly goals. I mean, that was a ridiculous goal, stretching out like that, just poking it in. It was a proper poacher's goal.
Yeah. But it's also the same for Ken Charles as well, isn't it? He didn't really have a sniff on Saturday. There was no service to him, so he's not going to score, is he? So, you know, Ken's proven he can start scoring goals. He's still got the odd miss in him. But if we're going to do anything in terms of staying up the season, we need both of them firing. And they need the service too. So I think for both cases, hopefully, the way that Ian's getting things working, I think it could prove to be a good thing for both forwards.
Well, we obviously focus on the attack. Any supporters do, because that's what wins your games. But I want to chuck in a word about Michael Johnson as well. Yep. Two really good saves in the first half, and an excellent one with his feet as well in the second half. And that kept us in the game when it might be 0-0 when he made the first two saves, but certainly it was 1-0 when he got the second save. And the way he headed the ball out after Danny Cashman's that powerful, brilliant shot, wasn't it? 30 yards, hits the post, back of MJ's head. I thought that was going to go in, but fortunately, it bounced wide for a corner. What a goal that would have been if he'd scored that.
Well,
one thing I noticed as well. Sorry,
I'd say you need a bit of luck, and we did on the day.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And also, Nicky Wheeler's goal, that was an excellent finish. Absolutely superb. MJ had no chance with that.
Yeah,
really. No chance at all. But the one thing I noticed about MJ, he was a bit more vocal because obviously he got awarded the captaincy, and I just wanted to make a conscious effort to see how that affected him. He was a bit more vocal, especially from those set pieces. And, you know, that's what we want to see more of. Yeah. He is thriving with that extra responsibility. So, yeah, it bodes well for us going forward.
Yeah, because still we don't see, I don't think, between the three of us, a proper captain out on the pitch. So he's got a chance to really stake his claim at the moment.
Definitely.
Yeah. Good. Well, we're going to be finished nice and early here. Not Weymouth, they may have done, but Worthing have made a new signing. We mentioned last week, Joe Partington. I was hoping to get a word with him because I've got a little story I want to run past him, but I didn't see him. But I think you two did. You had a decent chat with him, Lee.
Yeah, he spotted me actually walking across the front of the stand during the half-time interval. He came over, had a really good chat. Do not think that his move is anything other than financially unmotivated. You know, it just came across as he didn't have the stomach for the fight here at City, and whether he was going to get a fair crack is another argument. He admitted, of course, that he was really good friends with Nobby, but he said when you invest so much time and effort into a system and a management style, and then suddenly that sort of gets curtailed halfway through the season, you know, it's sort of hard for him to buy back into it straight away. You know what I mean? But he was nice enough. He was very complimentary about the club. Obviously, I told him I relayed Jake's thoughts about his move, which pleased him. So yeah, look, it's football. It's a mercenary game, especially at this level. You could argue. So for a few quid more, he's found somewhere where he actually wants to put on the shirt. So good luck to him.
Can we disassociate ourselves from those comments, Jake? I think we can. Yeah, that's fair enough. I noticed in the programme they did a history of Worthing players whose surnames begin with H, and had Gareth Howells there. You'll remember him, Lee. Jake won't. Played one game for them. They were short. They got him in for an Ishmael League game against Fleet Town. We got him in for one game as well. Couldn't get rid of him. 209 games he played in the end. But my God, what a keeper he was, wasn't he, Lee? He was a good one.
Really good keeper. Probably underappreciated, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
you know, given the great keepers we have had at Flowers Park, a proper goalkeeper without wanting to, catches the ball rather than, technically really, really good. But not, he wasn't the biggest, was he? It was quite small. But no, really good keeper and a great lad as well.
Yeah. I suppose maybe he didn't get the limelight he should have got, spotlight should have got, because he had Steve Clark and Alan Cochrane in the team most of his time he was there. Yeah. So they're going to pinch it a little bit.
Yeah.
Glory hunters that they are. Right. So this point, what did it do for us? Well, it doesn't do much for us, does it? A good point at Mason, a good point at Worthing. So, but that's 2 points out of 9. But we're not going to get upset because we know the 4 games we got. Truro's the next one. We've mentioned this tough start, and 2 points, really, that's a fair return, which is ridiculous to say in many respects. But from where we were, I think we're reasonably pleased with that.
I think if you'd offered most Saints fans and probably the management team 2 points from these 3 games, I think probably would have taken it, to be honest. We've closed the gap to Bath by a point. So there we go, lads. It's on. But, it's we talked about, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, that it's going to take time. Fans need to have patience. The results aren't going to be perfect in time. It's going to be a little while until the management team can get this team playing to the exact way that they want. And it might mean it's a bit nervous in the second half of the campaign after in January onwards. But we need to keep the faith and believe in them, because these games are really difficult and they don't look much easier coming down the road at the minute.
Well, they do after Saturday. This coming Saturday, then, home to Truro City. They're into free-fall. 1 point last 2 games. They haven't scored in either of them. Tumbled down 2 places. All right, from first to third, but still tumbling. This is going to be tough. Not what you'd normally say about Truro. They're one of the sides you expect to beat, but on record against them is not that great. John Askew, is it Askew manager? Yes. He's doing well down there. They lost 2-0 home to Maidstone on Saturday. Bit of a surprise, but Maidstone's way form is phenomenal, still unbeaten. It is going to be tough. This is a completion of a quartet of tough games. And after that, we think it's a bit easier. What do you expect this Saturday?
I expect a win. Absolutely, straight off the cuff. I expect a win. I think Ian Culverhouse's first match in charge at home. I can see us now building on the win. So I guess the point at Worthing, really sort of taking it to Truro. It's a fair old schlep, but they've beaten us, having made that trip in the past. But I think this is a whole new way of thinking for us now. I think we're going to go into this game buoyed by the passion that the players show. And they're going to have, Ian and Bazza are going to have those boys ready and raring to go. And hopefully the big crowd behind them as well, just before Christmas, it'll send us into Christmas with 3 very, very valuable points.
Confident, Jake? Because bearing in mind our home records have been absolutely shocking this year, not just this season, but since
time began, Dave.
It's awful.
Yeah, I'm not that confident. I'm not sure what's come over Lee, to be honest. No,
drugs, mate.
Yeah. I won't say anything further. It's going to be really hard, isn't it? I enjoyed how excited Ian appeared to be in the post-match to actually get a home game under the belt and get at Clarence Park. We know what it's going to be like for Paul Bastock. He's going to be absolutely buzzing on the day to be back in City gear, wearing it on the touchline, supporting the lads. It's going to be hard. Truro in really good form. John Askey's a winner, isn't he? He's won promotion from the National League and the North. He brought in a few lads from York City in the summer. Truro got their new ground. They've got all momentum. They appear to have a decent budget there. But it's the time for miracles. That's, yeah, I'll be honest.
What happened to the last fellow that said he was a winner at Clarence Park?
Bye.
Pre-continue, my follically challenged friend. Off you go.
We know it's going to be difficult, and I think we are probably going to see again the managers look at that more counter-attacking style. I think we might put a few more behind the ball and try and hit balls in behind. I wouldn't be shocked if Sean Jeffers is on the bench again, potentially, because I think they'll want Ken Charles running in behind. But, we've got options. And I thought also, again, we saw the impact of Zane Banton when he came on as well on Saturday. So maybe he's one that might come back into starting 11 potentially.
Yeah, I think going back last Saturday, Lewis Michio being dropped after the board game, I think that surprised a few people. But again, it may just be Ian looking at players.
I think it is. But I think whatever situation we're in the next couple of months, they're going to need a squad. The games are going to come thick and fast in the next couple of weeks and even further into January. They're going to need players that they can rely on. And the whole squad, players that might not appear for a couple of weeks, and they need to come in to starting 11. So I think the way they did it on Saturday will give quite a few of the lads a confidence boost, and hopefully that will carry on into this game when we know we're going to be the underdogs, don't we?
Yeah, and let's hope we can get more confidence from this, because you look at the 2 games after that. Hemel Hempstead Town Boxing Day, their first game last Saturday under Lee Anderson. I nearly got it wrong. Lee Anderson as manager, Ian Anderson in the background. And they ended, a 9-match losing streak with a 3-0 win against mighty Weymouth. Oh, they're not so mighty. And then after that, we've got Enfield Town. These are 2 games which suddenly you're looking, minimum 4 points, you're looking for 6, really, if we're going to ease our problems.
Absolutely.
Certainly 4 points.
Absolutely. But don't forget that Ian and Bazza, they're learning about this team on the hop, aren't they? Because they've, you can only learn so much from training. They've not had a pre-season to really look at them all in any great depth. And that's why I think the players have really stood up to that task now. You can see the endeavours, and they're really putting it in. They're putting all of the work into these games. I think I don't know what it is, but I've got a good feeling about Saturday. Hemel or Hemel. Hemel, I'm more worried about Hemel than I'm Truro. Enfield is the one, though, Dave. You look at these results here, mate, and okay, we were belittled for talking about must-win games in October, but this is a must-win game, Enfield at home, and obviously we'll cover that later on in like another pod. But you're looking at these games, Hemel, home games. You're looking to always get something, and I think that it starts Saturday, isn't it? The first home game under the new regime, and hopefully 3 points.
Well, it is going to be a win. Daniel Baines is referee. The first game he had us, we lost at home to Chippenham. The second game we drew at home to Worthing. So next one's obviously a win. What can go wrong?
Everything. I think key thing about this game, whatever happens, is we can just try and carry some of this positive momentum into the Hemel and Enfield games. Even if it's a tight defeat on Saturday, at least if there's a bit of an endeavour, a bit of fight, the lads can cling on to and the fans can cling on to going into huge games, because we need to carry that momentum. That's one thing about this season, isn't it? We've never really had any momentum at any point. We've picked up a decent result there and just lost the next 3 in disastrous fashion. If we can carry that into January, then we've got a chance.
He doesn't look convinced, Jake. He doesn't look convinced, mate. I think you've not quite sold it to him there, mate.
I'm convinced by everything Jake ever says.
Because you're his favourite. He's your favourite. Yeah.
Do you two think we'll see any new faces in the squad by Saturday? Again, after the post-match?
Well, we won't find out until 10 minutes before kick-off anyway, because the club doesn't like giving out information. We know that. It's shocking.
I shouldn't have mentioned
it. It's a fair point. It's a fair point, Jake. It is a fair point.
Supporters don't like it. They all moan about it. They're not happy. And on that point, actually, post-match interviews, it's a positive thing.
We'll see.
I might not say it that way. The manager, you would not have wanted to interview Nobby. And I interviewed managers for 35 years, and Nobby was not one you would have wanted to interview because he's putting his finger in there trying not to listen to you anyway. But poor Nobby just couldn't articulate what he really wanted to say, I don't think. And the questions to him were so banal. It was awful. And I think now we've got a manager who will give you information about players, whether they're in the squad or out of the squad. And it's up to the person who's asking them. He's really got to up his game because he hadn't made a great start under Ian to ask for information about individual players so supporters have a better idea of what is going on. So when Phil Chinedu goes missing for a couple of games and we don't know where he is, or Alfie Payne disappears for 10 games, tell us what's happening. As supporters, they're the biggest investor in the club over a year. They've got a right to know what's going on.
If you weren't on the club's Christmas card list, Dave, you're certainly not on there now, mate, are you? I'll tell you what, mate, it's a valid point because for all, and look, we don't want to go back over old ground, but you've got a new manager who is ultimately going to be looking to get new players in. You've got players who've gone fleeting, they've come back all of a sudden. You've got new players arrive on the eve of the Derby game. There's no information really, and look, they can only put out information as and when they have it, I guess. But Saturday, big game at home. Ian Culverhouse's first game as an Albans City manager at Clarence Park, and the club are putting out stuff like tag pictures of you in your hat. That's fine. That should be done for later on. Let's build this momentum up. Let's build this crowd up. Let's look at our key players, and it is frustrating, mate. And I do share your point. But these guys are young, inexperienced, I guess. But it has to be better. It has to improve because we're looking to improve all facets of the club, on the pitch and off the pitch. So yeah, I agree with that.
Can you sit still there, Lee? I just want to get a picture of you in your hat. That's lovely. Thank you.
Was that the point that you wanted to make about the post-match interviews earlier, Dave, or have you got another point?
That was it.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Do you want some more? I'll give you some more if you want some more.
No,
I do.
No. Oh my goodness.
Right, Lee's doctor's coming round soon, so we better go. Should we do some predictions?
Yeah. I'm going to let Lee go first.
Oh, okay.
1-0 Saints Saturday.
Oh.
Hang it in the Louvre, my friend.
Oh, I'm going to go 1-1.
What's it for?
God, we're not going for many goals here, are we? I'm going for a 1-0 defeat. Happy Christmas.
There we go.
There we go. Full of festive cheer.
Oh,
festive cheer.
Wow. Definitely going to edit that bit out.
I think Dave's been on the drugs as well. On that, anything else, Dave, you wanted to say before we disappear? Lee?
Just we've had quite a lot of love for the pod.
Yes.
People coming up to us over the last 3 games. It's really appreciated. I mean, we're sitting in our kitchens and Taz's little love dungeon and Jake's in his bedroom. And, we're basically just putting together a pod of witterings, heartfelt nonsense. But it seems to resonate with so many people. Please keep sending us your messages and your emails. And please do come up and say hello at games. It's really, really wonderful to see so many people engaging. This is your podcast. We're just the face of it, unfortunately. Jake's going to give you all the information you need right now.
Yeah, Podful of Saints on Twitter. Thank you to everyone that's been engaging on Twitter as well, on social media. We really appreciate it. It's going down really well. Even the jokes about Bono and The Edge and all that old people stuff that I don't understand. So thank you all very much for engaging. Thank you all for watching. Podful of Saints on Twitter, email below, and we will speak to you again next week well, at some point over the next few days after the Saints pick up hopefully a good result against Truro City. Thank you all very much. Come on, you Saints. Bye bye.